Christopher Nolan films are very nearly great, infuriatingly close to greatness. Imagine a master sculptor in the Renaissance, perfectly capturing the human form in every way through decades of developing skills and craftsmanship, but then he insists on using men with oranges taped to their nips instead of looking at women. Michelangelo's titties are to sculpting as Christopher Nolan's stubbornness is to cinema.
Earth is dying, crops are failing, all we can grow is corn, and even the corn's days are numbered. Humanity must reconcile quantum mechanics with gravity with the help of ghosts and love in order to send a giant rotating space station to another galaxy to start a new homeworld before they starve or suffocate.
What will the people on the giant rotating space station eat on their journey to the new world?
Corn that they grow.
I thought they couldn't grow corn.
But they can grow corn on the space station in space.
Couldn't they just build giant sealed things on Earth and grow corn in there?
Oh, you see what we did there? We launched our greenhouses into space again. God, we keep doing that. God damn it. Keep the greenhouses on Earth. So my goal in this episode is not to be an asshole who points out every little cinema sin or call it every little thing as a plot hole. I want to talk about the way the film makes me feel so that you can see what I see when I go to IMDb's top films of all time and discover that a film which I found to have serious flaws is listed as the 16th greatest film of all time. It makes me feel like I'm taking crazy pills. And then you leave the theater and you're like, wasn't that really dumb when they did that? And everyone's like, that was the greatest movie ever. And you're like, that's
cinematic equivalent of a really hot person with a bad personality.
Or a Michelangelo sculpture of a woman. It's really well done, man. Those boobs are a little something though.
Maybe he just didn't really want to spend a lot of time looking at women.
Do you think anybody told Michelangelo that that's not what boobs look like?
Who knows?
I would guess someone told him and he doubled down and was like, no, but this is the perfect human form because it's man.
This is a better breast.
Right, because man was created in God's image. This is closer to God.
Yeah, this is God parading around the house with two little apples going, me, 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 me.
That's Christopher Nolan's films. Super well done. Great job. You got a great budget, a great cast, cinematography, soundtrack. It's all great. And then you tape some apples to some nips and we're like, that's a woman. He's one of the few filmmakers that has the clout to make things like this. Big budget, cerebral, sci-fi, non-IP, non-superhero. Make better things. You're good. Just fix these obvious flaws. Like, you can't fucking hear anything.
It's like important plot stuff, so, that kind of gets old.
So for all these great things, he then has to do things like in Oppenheimer. What's the one quote, from J. Robert Oppenheimer?
Let's drop the bomb on them.
No.
Behold, I am so destroyer
Death,
of death, destroyer of worlds.
Right. Do you know how they get that quote into the film?
Or is it a sex scene? I mean, I probably said weirder things in bed.
I am become death, destroyer of puss. She gets up off of him, goes and grabs a random book off the shelf. And it's, of course, the Bhagavad Gita. And she's like, turns to a random page, points to a random thing and says, read that to me, because it's in Sanskrit. She gets back on top of him. So it's like a dirty talk moment. And the fact is, the one thing he's famous for quoting, that's the thing she picks at random from the book. It's like, what are you? That's a lumpy tit duct tape to a man. That's Nolan when it comes to audio mixing. And when people say it's too loud or you can't hear anything, he just makes the next movie louder. For example, astronaut Ed Lu was asked after seeing Interstellar if it was as loud as being on a space shuttle launch. And he said it was louder than being in the space shuttle. He's desperately chasing the high of the mind fuck. Who's gonna blow your mind in this movie.
I do feel that sometimes.
And it's like, you can feel him up his own ass, playing with his nips. Playing with his nips and up his own ass? Playing with the nips.
Playing with the nips from the inside. So he's got inverted nipples.
Okay.
Regular type dude with a big ass dick.
And so the plots always have multiple timelines, tons of exposition, and between all the cool set pieces and all the exposition, there's little room left over for underdeveloped characters, which wouldn't be quite so bad if he wasn't so quick to resort to using dull, recycled tropes and stereotypes. For example, he makes every main character a man dealing with the death of his wife or girlfriend. We can add to that montage now. Oppenheimer, death of his mistress.
As he reckons with a tragedy in his past, whether it's the death of his wife, the death of his wife,
It won't bring your wife back.
the death of his wife, or when Nolan really wants to shake things up, the death of his girlfriend.
Mistress.
There's a dead bug in here. Oh, he's not even dead.
There's a live bug?
There's a live bug in here.
You just drink a bug?
Okay,
This bug is from the black hole. He's been in here. He's actually 10,000 years old now.
See everything outside our dimension. That's eternity. Now, to us, it's a sphere. But to them...
Or how the villain in Tenet was the stereotype who spits out dialogue that's so cliche it's made fun of in Teen Wolf, the TV show.
What? Teen Wolf lampoons someone else?
Yeah.
Man, you gotta be fucking up if you're getting laughed at by a bunch of fucking teenage chuckle fucks.
Teen Wolf, the TV show, made fun of your writing before you wrote it, which I covered in my Tenet episode. So the overall film is about something called a temporal pincer movement. That's when you eat scorpion tempura and it gets lodged in your anus.
Someone once told me time is a flat circle. Everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over and over and over again.
We only get so many of these big budget, major director. They care about physics. They want to show like cool physics things. So it's the opportunity cost. That little maneuver is going to set us back another 15 years.
This is harder than it appears to be.
Nolan and his films are incredibly overrated. Did you know Nolan has 6 films in the top 66 on IMDb?
Jeez.
You know how many Wes Anderson films cracked the top 175?
8.
0. There's not
fuck?
one. Jaws, Gone Girl, Grand Budapest Hotel, Blade Runner, Barry Lyndon, Ben-Hur, Fargo, Trainspotting, Raging Bull, Chinatown, Some Like It Hot, Wolf of Wall Street. What do all these films have in common? They are all ranked lower on IMDb than 8 Christopher Nolan films. The 8th best Nolan film is better than Jurassic Park. The 3rd best Nolan Batman movie is better than No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood.
I think human consciousness was a tragic misstep in evolution. We became too self-aware.
That's the degree to which the Nolan fandom has gone off the rails, and complaining about it is about as productive as trying to explain to Michelangelo what a boob feels like.
Big bag of sand.
That's what
You've been watching Wild Wild West, haven't you?
Neil deGrasse Tyson ranked a bunch of sci-fi films, and he put Interstellar in the B tier, tied with The Blob.
First blob or second blob?
And of course, there's dozens of YouTube videos and articles and clickbait nonsense. Interstellar explained, all the details you missed. The ending mindfuck revealed. It's like, dude, this movie was not hard to understand. Like, I don't know why you need all this revealed to you. Did you watch the movie? That's part of the Nolan appeal. This pseudo-intellectualism that if you like the movie, that means you're smart.
So he's like Woody Allen, but not funny.
Complicated plots and time travel paradoxes don't make something super smart or clever.
Standing on his own now. We all gotta stand on our own sometime.
A dream about being a person.
So you arrive through a wormhole searching for a new home for humanity, and you have 3 planets to check out.
All right. Let's get yourself on. Welcome to my world.
Each with an astronaut who went on a one-way trip suicide mission unless you come to save them when they say the planet's great. This won't come up again later. Broadcasting a beacon that's a thumbs up saying, yep, we can live here. So you're through the wormhole. You can use telescopes now. You can analyze the situation. You can do some spectral analysis, some Star Trek shit, right? But they have to pick the planet right now, this second, immediately. They spend all 3 minutes debating which planet to go to. Uncut, 3 minutes.
Look, I could swing around that neutron star to decelerate.
It's not that.
Here are your options. Number 1, a rocky, kind of cold, Earth-like planet.
Sounds nice.
Number 2, a barren ice world. Number 3, a constant tsunami planet that's orbiting super close to a black hole and experiences super time dilation where 1 hour equals 7 years. Which of these 3 planets would you like to go to first?
Which one can I take my shirt off and get a nice tan on?
That's right, you pick the insane time dilated black hole planet. Of course, that's the obvious first choice. It's only going to take you like 20 years to do this mission. That's a good idea. And they make that choice after talking about it for literally less than 3 minutes. I spend more time looking at reviews before I go to a restaurant. And there's a super obvious flaw in their thinking, which is that they're evaluating these planets on the basis that an astronaut went and is giving a thumbs up. Like, I've been here for 10 years, it's still habitable. On planets 1 and 2, that means the thumbs up has been going on for years. But on planet 3, because of time dilation, 1 hour, 7 years thing, means that astronaut landed there like an hour ago.
He's like, Just touchdown, feeling fine.
So why in the hell are you checking out the crazy time-dilated planet first? Even if you get there and it's great, the humans go settle there, they will always be dealing with crazy time dilation from being close to a black hole that's spitting off ass loads of X-rays. That'd be like deciding, of all places to live on Earth, trailer park in Oklahoma. So in less than 2 minutes, uncut real time, like it's the show 24, we go from McConaughey not knowing the name of the black hole to him whipping out a whiteboard and drawing orbital mechanics. Oh, here's our plans, what we're gonna do.
You don't need to know the name of something to fully understand it.
The planet is much closer to Gargantua than we thought.
Gargantua.
It's what we're calling them, the black hole.
Here's Gargantua. Here's Miller's planet. Instead of taking the Endurance into orbit around Miller's planet, which would conserve fuel, but we would lose a lot of time, what if we take a wider orbit around Gargantua, parallel with Miller's planet, outside of this time shift to here? And we take the Ranger down, we get Miller, we get our samples, we come back, we analyze, we debrief, we're in, we're out, we lose a little fuel, but we save a lot of time.
That'll work.
And from there, they have to like travel to the planet, which would take like months. So they spend 3 minutes thinking about this, and then they have to spend like months on the journey to the planet. And during that time, it never occurs to them that the thumbs up coming from the astronaut has only been there for an hour.
Every hour we spend on that planet will be 7 years. That's relativity, folks.
You can't just pop around the solar system in like 20 minutes, which is what it looks like in the movie. Because minutes earlier in the film, they go out from Earth to Saturn, and that takes years. Just about every scene in the film pushes it farther from real technology to just like Star Wars nonsense. It's like
Space fantasy.
And as soon as they land on the terrible planet, they're like, oh, right, the time dilation. It's like, if you'd have like thought about your options longer than the song Hot to Go, you might have thought about it. In a movie that's supposed to be clever, which points to Apollo denialism and anti-science, which is ostensibly a film about theoretical physicists figuring out a grand theory, reconciling the equations of quantum mechanics and quantum gravity and some shit. They have a black hole quantum physicist astronaut do and say things that are really dumb. And not just in a, well, we'll hand wave delta V and just go with it. Because the dumb thing they do isn't hand waved away. For example, in a movie about like a criminal trial, if they're like, oh, they skipped voir dire or something, but like in the logic of the movie, like, all right,
we don't need to see that.
We don't need to see it, it doesn't matter. But in this, we then see them realize.
So how's the wreckage stay together after all these years, huh?
Because of the time slippage.
Every hour we spend on that planet will be 7 years.
So how's the wreckage stay together after all these years, huh?
Go, 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 go. 7 years per hour here. Let's make it count.
So how's the wreckage stay together after all these years, huh?
7 years per hour here.
So how's the wreckage stay together after all these years, huh?
Oh, Miller probably just died and just landed like an hour ago because of the crazy time dilation. And it's like, you guys had months to think about this and it didn't occur to you until now on the planet.
They were too busy space fucking.
Just landed hours ago. She probably just died minutes ago.
So this isn't the movie hand waving away. Yeah, don't worry, because it comes back to bite them. Like they should have thought about it. And then we watched them not think about it. And I'm in the theater going, well, that's dumb. I thought about it.
A little detail somewhere way down the line makes you say,
So in the logic of the film, canonically, a bunch of super smart scientists who are thinking about time dilation just don't really think about it enough.
I mean, there's lots of things to think about in space, you know.
7 years per hour here.
So how's the wreckage stay together after all these years, huh?
7 years per hour here.
The film is saying to me that I'm smarter than the people who figure out how to reconcile gravity with quantum mechanics. I feel really super smart, you know? That's 5 stars.
Means I'm bad at parties.
Let me tell you, you ain't great outside of parties either.
This movie made me feel smart.
Well, that's smart with every one of these, though.
You wanna do shots? The science behind this film is so impressive, they wrote a book about it. Allegedly, Nolan read like a bajillion books about like relativity and quantum physics. And perhaps the greatest thing about sci-fi is that smart people and scientists can be like, here's this crazy thing that exists, like a planet made entirely of diamond. So you should go to smart people and be like, what's some crazy shit, man? And then they tell you, and then you try to make a movie out of it. But according to Kip Thorne, Christopher Nolan went to him and said, on Miller's planet, you have to have this crazy 1 hour is 7 years time dilation thing. And Kip Thorne was like, that's not a thing. That's not real. And he's like, well, too bad. You figure it out. That's Miller time, baby. So in Kip Thorne's book, The Science of Interstellar, he's like, this movie was so smart. They asked me and I got to hang out with Hollywood people. So he's real happy about it. He said, this time dilation could happen if the conditions are just right, which are 1, the black hole has to be spinning at about the speed of light. How close to the speed of light? I'm glad you asked. Take the maximum speed possible for a black hole to spin and slow it down by 0.00000000001%. So 1 part in 100 trillion, that amount slower than the maximum possible speed a black hole could spin, and that's what this black hole has to be doing. So hey, all right, so that black hole's spinning super fast. Oh, too bad it wouldn't look like it does in the film.
Yeah, its accretion disk would be insane.
And you would have blue shifting and red shifting. You would have one side would be blue shifted and spinning toward you, and one side would be red shifting, spinning away from you, which would be cooler.
And it would have those insane plasma jets shooting out both poles. A lot of things in the accretion disk would just be thrown out rather than sucked in because that's so fast. I'm not Richard Feynman, though. I don't know these things.
So there's probably no black hole in the universe that exists with these properties, and even if it did, it wouldn't look like it does in the movie anyway.
You mean in our infinite universe, there's no...
See, this is what I'm talking about. It's like, time dilation's real. That's cool. You travel 99% speed of light. You go somewhere, you come back, your kids are like older than you.
Do I have to pay child support for all that time?
That is a good question. Does Coop owe child support?
Because I was only gone for 1 year.
So whose calendar?
My time.
It should be the children calendar. That really eats into the hazard pay. He's not divorced, though, because she's dead because it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
I missed him. I missed that fucker
But then this movie's like, okay, but what about you go through a wormhole, a thing that's definitely real, and a survivable trip? And then you go super close to a black hole, the properties of which are wrong. And then you land on a planet right next to the black hole, which can't exist anyway, which has crazy tides, which also would not happen, except Kip Thorne's like, yeah, but if there was like another planet right next to it to make the tides do that weird thing to make waves, it's like, all right, but there's not another planet next to it. When we see it, and there's not there, all right. And then you take your spaceship and you surf it up some waves. That's pretty cool. And you take off and you do some Delta V that you couldn't do, and all while not being killed by the massive X-rays coming from the accretion disk. All right, that's fine. And then you crash through the ice clouds, which can't exist on another planet, and then you send a person into a black hole, and somehow they don't get turned into spaghetti, and then the plot armor puts them into a gravitational bookcase, because love is real and as strong as the strong nuclear force.
It's the unifying force.
Maybe it's some evidence, some artifact of a higher dimension that we can't consciously perceive. Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimension, time, and space.
Nowhere in a mathematical equation is there a symbol for love. To end up at that place looking through into his daughter's rack, it's very emotionally nice.
You can't understand physics unless you understand love. Feynman was ahead of his time.
That's why I had to drop out of college.
If you constantly ignore science to do something cool instead, that's not hard sci-fi, guys. That's just fantasy and sci-fi cosplay.
It's romantasy.
So that's the ones where ladies have sex with dragons.
Sometimes they're pegging the dragon.
We're leaving.
Scott Manley had a great quote. Somebody like on his Interstellar review made a comment. This movie is so smart. They did all these smart things. And he just replied to it and was like, yeah, too bad they didn't consult the script, though. It's like, yeah, it's totally inaccurate, though. And you can do all this nonsense without reusing the cliche poke a pen through a folded paper like they did in Event Horizon 17 years earlier, which was better in Event Horizon. They do it to a pinup model, not a wormhole, but a wormhole.
Wormhole bends space like this, so you can take a shortcut through a higher dimension.
Point A here, point B there. It folds space
into 2 dimensions, which turns a wormhole into 2 dimensions. A circle. What's a circle in 3 dimensions?
Now, to us, it's a sphere. But to them...
We're leaving. Best line of the film. We're leaving. So the film Contact is about how Matthew McConaughey is so charismatic that he can turn Jodie Foster straight. Wow. You got some meat here, right, ladies? And over here, you've got lesbian. And over here, you got straight. What is the straightest path between 2 points?
Matthew McConaughey's dick.
Fold it, and then look at that. Corn dogging. Not docking, but corn dogging.
Corn docking.
Corn docking. Stab meat. McConaughey seems like an idiot the whole movie because he plays the role of like audience surrogate. He's like, what's going on?
Dr. Brand.
I knew Dr. Brand once. He was a professor.
Don't you know who we are, Coop?
No, Professor, I don't.
He's the super, super smart, only pilot they have with any experience for some reason. They're explaining to him that his controls don't work in the wormhole. And they explain that to him when they get to the wormhole. And it's like, this is like 4 years into the mission. You guys never bothered to explain to the pilot how it works.
The controls won't work here. All you can do is record and observe.
So the truth is that Nolan started with time dilation, mindfuck, multiple timeline thing, and then he just warped the space story space time around it, which is why characters have to do really dumb things to get the plot to work.
It says stay, Dad. You don't believe me. Look at the books. Why? You're not listening. It says stay.
Go, 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 go. 7 years per hour here. Go, 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 go.
How do you feel about 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I love that it doesn't try to explain anything to you. Here, there's this stuff.
So what you're
Deal with
saying
it.
is you really need a robot to explain to you why Dave is in a weird bedroom at the end?
No, I don't. I don't need it explained to me.
No, you need a robot off screen who's just also there, but is off screen, be like, Dave, this is a bedroom that represents this.
They didn't bring us here to change the past. How, Cooper?
Love, Tars, love.
What are we here to do?
We're here to communicate with a three-dimensional world.
That would make the film better, don't you think?
No, I'm
pretty sure.
I don't want things spoon-fed to me. I like being confused, and I'll sort it out on my own time.
I don't think Christopher Nolan is acquainted with this idea of sorting things. What is that, homework?
I get that, Tars.
2001 is full of long shots, which let you think about stuff and go, what does this mean?
Digest.
Okay, you digest
It's like
it.
eating kale.
If you put 2001 in front of modern audiences, they're gonna fall asleep. The expectations have changed, and like, all right, you could probably trim it, which, by the way, Steven Soderbergh has done. He made his own cut of 2001.
What a twat.
I haven't watched it, but I could see.
Oh, wait, he's the one who remade Solaris.
He did indeed, which is good.
I do kind of like his Solaris.
The original Solaris, too slow and boring.
Yes.
It's got good stuff, but it's too slow and boring. How about 30 minutes of traffic in Tokyo? All right, I'm kind of falling asleep,
In
man.
context, that was an insane city to most people at the time, so...
People will fall asleep in 2001 because we engage with movies in a different way now, and a tighter edit of it for the modern sensibility maybe could improve it. But I want to push back against the idea that making a cerebral film and then inserting action and explosions and people yelling at each other every 10 minutes makes it better.
Yeah, you can't mind fuck me without giving me a reach around.
We don't have time for this, come on!
Even in the mindfuck finale, where Coop is tumbling through a fifth-dimensional tesseract, they don't let the audience figure this out and instead cram in exposition from the robot. Coop, I think this is what's going on in this black hole, buddy.
They constructed this three-dimensional space inside their five-dimensional reality to allow you to understand it.
Yeah, that ain't working.
I do love that robot, though. I love me a good robot.
It's made out of monoliths.
It's made out of monoliths.
It's a 4-monolith robot.
But it can also sort of transform a little bit.
You like your women like you like your movies? Transformers?
Transforming, yeah.
Which is not true. I don't like those films. We're heading for movies that are just cum shot compilations. Marvel, in parentheses. And I want more story with my porn. Thank you. Sometimes I just watch the story only. For example, see our previous videos. This stories of porn. Porn stories.
We gotta do some more of those soon.
Yeah, except I can't monetize those.
I'll give you $5. What do you want? What do you want? $5? $10?
All right, $5, I'll do it. It'd be like taking 12 Angry Men and inserting a car chase into the middle of the movie. Get somebody. the juror had to leave, get a sandwich. He's got to get back in time.
They send someone out for food. Someone on the defense is like, oh, I've got to sway this jury. I'm gonna get that juror. I'm gonna convince them to convince everyone else. I'm writing it right now. It fits in.
This is what I'm talking about.
You think that improves 12 Angry Men?
Right? Yeah, I think I could.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing.
Nolan needs to decide if he's making mindfuck movies where you think, or if he's splicing in a series of shots to 12 Angry Men. We roll a clip. Roll a clip for that.
We're leaving.
That's a lot of shots. 12 shots?
How many shots do you need to splice into 12 Angry Men to make it as interesting as Inception? We call it Conception.
Conception.
Let's see, it's an hour and a half
Which ironically, that's not great for Conception. Unless you've got
probably 2 hours long,
you
isn't
need
it?
like a cervix scam.
Just 120 minutes.
We're having different conversations.
I'm doing the math here.
I see that.
I'm doing the math. You know, you can get a solid half hour in before people start to get antsy. So we're down to 90 minutes.
No, wrong. You got to start with one. First 5 minutes.
So we're like horror movie kills here.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Probably got to crank out 10 in quick succession at some point, because that's really going to glue them to their seats, because all the will come out. And
Hans Zimmer's doing the soundtrack. Is this an Inception blah, or is it an Interstellar like?
No, it's more
organs.
Blah.
Each one of those. Is that the sound you make when you blast off?
I hope not.
We'll find out later.
What's your humor setting, Towers?
That's 100%.
Let's bring it on down to 75, please.
Every space sequence is filled with pilot chatter, like, oh, full reverse thrusters, on my mark.
Mark 45.
I'm doing a thing. Oh, I gotta match the spin. I gotta
30% of spin. Controls won't work here. I need to feel the air.
Hey, get ready to match our spin with the retro thrusters.
Then a powered slingshot around, launching us towards Edmund's planet.
Manually?
That's what I'm here for. Gravitational pull, I'm losing control. Stick.
A, pilots don't narrate what they're doing. B, it's not necessary. It's not like the audience needs it explained to them that he's matching the spin. It's spinning and he's trying to dock with it.
It's not possible. No, it's necessary.
And if you're such a visual storyteller, Christopher Nolan, then tell the story visually and not with awful dialogue. Imagine instead these sequences don't involve rapid cuts and shitty fake pilot dialogue, and instead consist of long shots, no dialogue, that let you appreciate the visuals. Like, hey, we're the first ever to make a black hole look real and cool, and that's all right. I think you can get more tension from silence than you do from random fake pilot speak.
Yeah.
No, stop looking at the wormhole. Instead, look at Anne Hathaway. All right, close-up of the ship exterior. Back to Coop, back to Anne Hathaway. And that's not just a problem with space travel. They also cram in random shit through the movie, like clips from a future documentary about the Dust Bowl situation they're in. Let's just cram that in. All right. Oh no, people might be thinking, quick, cut to a subplot about Casey Affleck and Topher Grace. Write it real fast. Write a little subplot for them. They gotta punch each other. Go.
They were in love in 3rd grade, but they never knew it. They had their gay awakening in 6th grade, started to realize that they had feelings for each other.
Who's on top?
But they were confused about these feelings, so it just led to schoolyard fights all the time.
Who's on top, Topher or Casey?
Topher.
Because he talks like this.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
I'm Casey Affleck, and I talk like this. You do a Casey Affleck?
No,
you can't even do a Matthew McConaughey.
I can't even do a Matthew McConaughey consistently.
Can you say that one?
No, I'm not going to say that
Come
one.
on. I didn't write it anywhere in my notes. It's the joke about this movie.
That's too on the nose.
It is. That's why I didn't write it down.
I won't be that on the nose. You can't make me be that on the nose.
What do you like about high school girls?
I like when they get good grades and go on to go to college.
This movie's the opposite. He stays the same age and they get older.
Yeah, which is his worst nightmare.
It'd be like intercutting the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey with a subplot about Dave's daughter trying to get a prom date. Just look at the differences between these scenes.
Like how you're holding that scene like a baby that you're like, could somebody take this thing? I think it's about to puke.
Oh yeah, that is how I hold a baby. It's almost like Nolan is afraid that if a scene takes more than 40 seconds, we'll get bored. And the biggest payoff of all the mindfuckery is that McConaughey is reunited with his daughter, but she's an old grandma, and that's crazy. Like, what?
You'll only be 4 years older, but over 50 years would have passed here on Earth.
Basically, yeah.
And there's his grandkids are there, and like great grandkids are there, and like that could be a scene. And then immediately she's like, go away. See you later. And he doesn't even interact with any of his like grandkids. It's just like, fuck off.
It'd be too confusing for everyone.
She's like, they don't care. Yes, you can leave. Go to the girl. And you're like, the girl? What?
You go. In this universe, we process time linearly, but outside of our space-time, from what would be a fourth-dimensional perspective, time wouldn't exist. And from that vantage, could we attain it, our space-time would look flattened. See, everything outside our dimension, that's eternity. Eternity looking down on us.
This film is an homage to 2001. There's a mysterious thing that points to Saturn. The robot is made out of monoliths. There's a rotating spaceship thing. There's an AI that's, is it going to be rebellious? Or they kind of hint maybe it'll be a rebellious AI. He doesn't really trust it, but twist, it's a good AI. They end up in a constructed, imagined bedroom thing. A fake bedroom in space. Both of them end in a bedroom.
Space bedroom.
And then a person falls into a wormhole or something and is transformed by it. And if you include 2010, where Dave Bowman, as the Star Child, sort of, travels back to Earth and he meets back up with his wife via television. So he's kind of like a ghost.
Kinda.
Was a ghost.
Sort of poltergeisty too.
It's not a ghost.
Hello, baby.
Please talk to me.
2001 implies that humanity grew out of an interaction with this monolith, giving us the ability to use tools, leading to the best match cut in the history of cinema, according to some people. What does it mean? What does it mean for our future? Are we propped up by other forces that helped us along and we didn't really earn our progress? Are we just dumb apes?
Were we intelligently designed? But not by a greater God.
Interstellar wants to ask questions like that, but ultimately the question it asks is, what if love is like the Higgs boson?
Love, Tars, love. It is quantifiable.
Even in this supposedly super sciencey smart movie, it still falls victim to the sci-fi monobiome planet. The planet that's nothing but ice, the planet that's a wave pool.
There's no lifeguard though.
No lifeguard on Miller.
Hey.
What's next? A planet that's all suburbs and it's always Monday morning?
Ugh, Garfield's worst nightmare.
Hitchhiker's Guide was making fun of this trope in the 70s with the planet that's all beach and always Saturday before the beach bars close.
Ooh.
And yet in this super smart movie, we have 3 planets and they're all single biomes. Only 50 years after Hitchhiker's Guide made fun of that. If only science or smart people could show us like cool ideas for planets like LHS 1140b, which is an ice world that's tidally locked. It doesn't rotate. So the center, it looks like an eye. Tidally locked planets, baked desert world on one side, frozen ice ball on the other, but in the middle at twilight.
Habitable zone.
Habitable twilight. And their mission plan when they send astronauts on these suicide missions, basically, assumes they're monobiome planets because they don't have any way to get around. They're just like, go land, walk around a little bit.
No moon buggies?
No buggies.
No drones?
I guess
Xbox controller
maybe they have
drones?
a robot made out of monoliths. Anyway, I hope you didn't land on Death Valley, because that's what all of Earth is like. Death
the
Valley.
Gobi Desert, the cutest named desert of all the deserts.
You know where would be a good place to scout a whole planet from?
Orbit.
Space. And then all these planets are like, oh, it's too cloudy. We can't see the surface. You gotta land. It's like, you know what would be a good place to try to grow crops? A place that never gets direct sunlight. Let's move there. That's, okay.
What's the terraforming abilities? What are we even doing then?
They're trying to find a planet they don't need to terraform.
We gotta practice on Mars first. You gotta practice.
Mars, Venus.
You know, it's like kissing your best friend before you go to prom.
We could get our mustaches locked together like they're made out of Velcro.
Oh, what if they got tangled?
Oh my God.
This is what I'm talking about.
I'll separate us.
All right, I told you I wouldn't do a lot of sciencey nitpicking. I'm gonna do some sciencey nitpicking now.
All right, I'm gonna get a beer then.
So they take their small little ship on a maneuver down to a planet. They land. They take back off while surfing. Get to orbit to rendezvous with their orbital ship called the Endurance. So this is a vertical takeoff or landing, single stage to orbit. And they even say that Miller's planet has 30% stronger gravity than Earth.
130% Earth gravity.
So it's harder to do this on Miller's planet than it is on Earth.
So their spaceship that looks like a dick is named after going long and hard.
No, the Endurance is like a ring.
Oh.
That's not the one they land with, though. That's the one that
ring.
stays in space. The
Which
cock
helps
ring
you
stays in
go
space.
longer and
That's
harder.
right.
I made a cock ring joke one Christmas. No, it was Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving cock ring jokes.
I made a Thanksgiving cock ring joke in front of my mom, and she did not appreciate it. So we were watching Stargate.
Oh, okay.
And in the very beginning...
And you saw James Spader, and you're like...
In the very beginning, they raise that Stargate out of the sand, and my mom goes, "What's that?" And I said, "That's a dinosaur cock ring."
Oh.
You think this is funny?
This is an insane vehicle that's basically Star Wars fantasy because it has to have like a warp drive or something. It's this tiny little thing. We saw it when they took off from Earth, they took like a Saturn V. So if they have the technology to make these things that can just go up to orbit and back and land in single stage to orbit, why are they taking off from Earth in a Saturn V?
They should build a, what's the space elevator?
A space elevator. And if you've got some sort of magical, like, who cares about Delta V thing, you don't need to worry about fuel, except the whole time they're like, no, we don't have enough fuel. We got to do a special, like, we got to go near the wormhole. We got to near the black hole. You lost your ball.
I lost my ball. Finally descended.
What about fuel?
Not enough. Just look at these things. They're tiny. They're mostly taken up by, like, crew space. There's no room left over for fuel. How much fuel do you can cram in the leftover space of one of these? I'm going to give a generous guess that this thing has a mass of 25 metric tons, which is less than a fully fueled Apollo command service module, one of these. And not much more than one of these with cargo and everything. That's a dream chaser. Let us suppose they have a super fancy future engine that is efficient as a theoretical nuclear rocket and is 3 times as efficient as the best chemical rocket ever made, which gives them a specific impulse of 1,500 seconds. And let's say the tidal wave planet, it has 30% higher gravity, so I did some Delta V requirements or higher calculation. They do a little maneuver, they gotta land. All right, they surf up a wave, they go back to orbit, they gotta go meet back up with the Endurance. You plug all that in to the rocket equation, and it says that this 25 metric ton vehicle needs 50 metric tons of fuel in order to do that. Liquid oxygen is about the same density as water, which is about the same density as people. The average American has a mass of 80 kilograms. So you take 50 metric tons, you divide that by 80 kilograms, you get 625. So look at this spaceship and tell me where you're cramming 625 people into it. Even with super efficient human centipede style Tetrising, there's no chance you're getting that many people in there. If I know anything about how much space a liquefied person takes up, you're gonna be lucky to get 30 people in the walls of this thing.
You always dump the bones, though.
You're keeping the liquids, though?
I said you're dumping the bones.
I dump the bones.
I constantly find them in the backyard.
And by the way, I'm ignoring the Delta V it takes to get to the planet, which would be a lot because it's orbiting super fucking fast right next to a black hole. I have a trivia question for you. Which planet in our solar system takes the most Delta V for us to get there?
Neptune.
The hardest to get to by Delta V is Mercury. Planet. You splattered me with
my metal shavings.
Metal shavings.
I told you, one of us is going to bleed.
If you're able to cancel enough velocity to match orbits with a planet spinning around the lip of a black hole, then you have enough fuel to go practically anywhere, right? That maneuver is impossible, right?
They have wormhole hopping super ships, but when they get down to the planets, they just like walk everywhere. And when they go to Miller's planet, where it's Miller time, 7 years, 1 hour, right? If they had brought a 4-pound plastic kayak, that would have been very helpful. Didn't have any kayaks. Also, they have jetpacks at one point, and then like forget they have them the rest of the movie.
Have you ever played a video game with a jetpack?
You don't want to use up all your fuel.
Yeah, the thing is, there's always limited fuel. That's how they get you.
But when are they at the most time constraint? When they're on Miller time planet.
When they have to pee.
The time dilation is because of the proximity to the black hole and the speed orbiting the black hole. You're very close to it. It doesn't matter if you're on the surface of the planet or orbiting the planet, but they treat it as if it's just being on the planet. On the whiteboard, McConaughey says,
we take a wider orbit around Gargantua, parallel with Miller's planet, outside of this time shift to here. We analyze, we debrief, we're in, we're out, we lose a little fuel, but we save a whole lot of time.
That'll work.
Stay in a parallel orbit, like in range. Not a thing. Orbits can't do that.
No.
Higher orbits take longer.
Yeah.
When man blows up the ship he's fucked up the docking with, that ship immediately starts entering the atmosphere.
There is a moment.
Endurance is hitting stratosphere.
Which makes no sense. You're in an orbit. If you do something to slow down over here, you don't get lower here. You get lower here on the other side. You speed up over here, you get a higher over here. So when a thing explodes and you're like, oh, we slowed down, we're gonna fall out of orbit. You're gonna fall out of orbit on the other side of the planet, not 10 seconds later.
And mysteriously starts falling out of orbit, which doesn't make any sense.
So some of my complaints are super nerdy. And so I wanted to make more concrete in terms normies might understand.
Okay.
Are you ready for that?
I'm a normie.
Imagine you're watching a road trip movie.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're on a road trip from Atlanta to Miami, and we're worried about running out of gas. Like, oh, we gotta conserve fuel. Don't run the AC, keep the windows up, so we
Drive
can make
55.
it from Atlanta to Miami, right? They can't stop for gas because it runs on like giraffe cum or something, I don't know. So like, it's hard to refill the tank.
Something they don't have at your normal BP station.
Right. And then a character's like, can we stop in Tokyo? And then like 2 minutes later, they're in Tokyo. Did they jerk off 40 giraffes on the way across the entire globe? And we just are like, sure, that makes sense.
Well, happy giraffes in the wake.
That's the orbital mechanics in the film Interstellar. It makes that much sense.
But then mysteriously, once they pull it back into orbit, it somehow achieves escape velocity and starts falling into the black hole again. It doesn't necessarily make any sense, but of course, as a set piece, it looks great.
If you've seen Interstellar, well, bad luck. It was a really boring film, I thought, but it looks very pretty.
And then when they dock with it and then they like boost it, they boosted it so much they're like going to the black hole now. They got like escape velocity.
Oh, escape velocity.
Right. Which I did some math. Imagine you're going on the highway and you're doing 68.
Pretty good highway speed. That's cruising speed.
Let's give it a little bit.
All right, tap the gas.
You're trying to go from 68 to 69. You just want a little, and then you pass an SR-71 and you're doing Mach 3. That's basically what that maneuver is. So like, if you're watching a road trip movie and the dude's like 68, let's make it 69, and then he goes Mach 3, that's what happens in that scene. That's how stupid it is.
Okay, I didn't realize it was that bad.
In fact, I think I'm wildly under-exaggerating how bad it is because the like orbit around a black hole is so fucking fast. But before you can think about the fact that they shouldn't be re-entering right away, Cooper goes to do a cool docking. Oh, we're gonna spin, we're gonna match the spin, we're gonna
You know
dock.
how much I love a good docking.
This is docking right here. You see this docking?
We've done some pretty good docking, haven't we?
Oh my god. It's spinning perfectly around this axis. It would be wobbling in some other axis, but it blew off a section of ship, so the center of mass isn't in the middle anymore. It'd be spinning around the center of mass. You're not docking with this thing. Sorry, that's not gonna happen.
I mean, I've made some pretty good parallel park jobs.
Should we take some of the audio of this docking and put it over you parallel parking?
Yeah, this would be pretty funny.
You can't fit it in there. That's impossible.
No, it's necessary. I got this, I got this.
You ready to engage the docking mechanism?
Okay, I got it. Okay, I got it. Okay. Maybe if I come at it, maybe if I pull in.
We are lined up.
Come on, baby.
I'm all in.
This thing is wobbling. It's librating.
I did that once in the library.
You librated?
And I resisted the temptation for years.
Yeah, I librated in the library once.
Was your daughter there?
Why am I doing this?
Well, it usually has something to do with your father.
Oh, please. I've never even met my father.
Well, come to Papa.
I think Sean Fennessy summarized my feelings pretty well.
Do I have to do it in my...
in McConaughey?
I'll do my best. Like all his bold films, Nolan explains everything.
That's a terrible McConaughey.
I'm not good at it, I told you. It takes a lot of practice.
Your tongue's gotta be lazy. You know, you have a barbecue.
I have a very active tongue. Just ask all my exes.
We are creatures that should not exist by natural law.
Say time is a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle. That's just fucking Forrest Gump. Nolan explains everything. The blight, sure. The nature of a wormhole, all right.
All right.
But the constant chattering among the characters, sometimes make this majestic looking movie sound like a podcast about quantum field theory and a curved space-time. The first, and until now only time I saw the film, I despised the ending. I'm getting real like fucking Confederate general. After all that yammering, the infinite fifth-dimensional library of the mind is an idea so obtuse, metaphysical, and downright daring that to have the robot explain its existence to Cooper and us is the final explication by a filmmaker afraid to let you think even for a minute.
In the next part, I'm going to dive into the cornhole of Nolan's characters.
You should have drowned up.
Can I get another reading of that? I don't know that YouTubers are hearing what you just put down there.
You remember pooping yourself?
I do.
I got soft little boy hands.
You have soft boy hands.
I got soft boy hands.
Exposing Nolan's black hole.
Give me enough of these, I'll show you my brown one. What will the people in the giant rotating space station eat?
Are you mic'd up? You're not mic'd up.
Fuck my duck.
I'm on location at a black hole. Potential titles for the next part. You ready?
Yeah.
Black hole of corn.
Nope.
Love is a wormhole. Love is a cornhole. Lessons from the cornhole. Wormholes of love. Corny AF.
No, I like wormholes of love.
The corn. You want to jerk off that corn a little bit?
I'll put that
Look at
cornhole.
That's a great bottle, isn't it?
Want me to sit on this bottle?
And I resisted the temptation for years.
Life's barely long enough to get good at one thing. Best be careful what you get good at.
Fake nips.